past have nicknamed it the Dragon. So the way you turn this one on, the main switch is in the back. There's a little clear little thing right here. It flips up, and then you push that button and it'll turn itself on. Are you back in good view? Or you in a good spot?
Yep, I'm in a great spot.
All right. There's little things you can push behind here that you can help you adjust this. So once you get to here, we're at the start standby screen. So we want to calibrate it first. So we're going to hit the standby button. Showing me what I want to see. Hold on. Hold that thought for a moment.
So just look up YouTube.
All right, they must have changed something on this. Okay, so you're gonna hit the standby and then hit the confirm button. Having all kinds of difficulties here. And then you know how the other ones required you to like confirm that you really wanted it in standby. So you hit the standby button and then this is your confirm button for everything, the round button. And then it's going to say standby activated. You're going to see it in red with exclamation points. It is not in standby yet. And this is one of the most common mistakes people make. So to actually put it in standby, alarm reset, and it tells you that up here. Confirm standby, touch alarm reset, and continue. So this one, like some of the other ones, tells you what to do, but it's in a different spot. It's up here in the blue. So alarm reset, confirm. You want it to be all blue at the top. Now it's in real standby mode. It must be in standby just like any other vent to do the calibration. So when you're ready to start the calibration, there's some little tabs over here to the side. You're going to hit the one that says check because we want to do our checkout procedure. And then under here are two different checks. There's a device check and an airtight check. So you have to do them both. The first one we're going to do is the device check. And you'll see sometimes your touch screens are a little finicky, so do device check, and then you're going to see the word check. We have 1,000 checks. Check, 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 check. So to actually start this, we're going to hit the word check. Ta-da. Now, as you're going through, everything that you need to do is in the blue area up here at the top. There'll be white writing. So that's what you have to do is follow the steps here. And I'm going to tell you a few things as we go along. So up here at the top, the first thing it says is check correct position of the exhalation valve, and you see a timer. It's 60 seconds. You can do it in plenty of time, but it's just telling you got to do it within 60 seconds. The exhalation valve is down here, which I'll pull out and show you when we're done with the calibration. It's going to be in the correct position. Hit yes. Connect test lung to Y piece, confirm with yes. So we're going to make sure our circuit is hooked up. Oh darn. Is there a test lung on that circuit? I can't see the end of it right now.
No.
Someone grab me one, a test lung. So that's on. We're going to hit yes again. I'm going to do its thing. It says check is active, please wait. Check correct position of the flow sensor. The flow sensor is down here. It will be in the right position. I'll show you when we're done with the calibration where it goes. Where you're testing? You mean checking them out at the hospitals and stuff? Yeah, there's test lungs around. So hit yes. Why did we fail? Okay, we're going to start over because we failed the exhalation valve. Failing because it has a big huge leak in it's going to say check is active, please wait again. And now it's got a check mark next to the first one there. Before it said F. We didn't want it to fail, so now it's got a check mark. So check correct position of the flow sensor, hit yes. Neo sensor placed at the Y piece. We don't have a Neo sensor, don't hit no, hit next test. I'm going to hit next test when it says anything about a Neo flow sensor. Is HME filter ready for use? I'm just going to say yes to that one. Connect air supply, disconnect oxygen supply. So we're going to unhook the O2. And then you have to hit, no, you don't have to do anything. Check is active, please wait. So as soon as you take it out, it's going to sense it and it'll do it, starts doing its check. And then when it's ready, it's going to have me reconnect O2 and you'll take the air out. But you have to wait. Connect oxygen supply, disconnect air. Check is active, please wait. Same thing it says in between them all. It's just making sure everything switches over the way it's supposed to. Connect air and oxygen. So those are now both in. Audible alarm sound. Yes, we can hear it. So hit yes. Just checking that it works. And now it's going to go to the sensors, calibrate flow sensor. Now we have something else come up with the word Neo flow sensor in it. Do the same thing as the last time. Do next test. Because that will give you dashes in those areas. You don't want Fs. F means failed and it can't have anything failed. So now it's going to do calibration O2 sensor, which takes a moment. And then the next two have to do with the CO2 sensors. The CO2 sensor is not in line, so it will automatically know that and it will stop after this one. But this one takes a minute. So you'll see a little check mark next to the calibration O2 sensor when this part is done. It's pretty straightforward and easy, kind of like the servo is. Just pay attention to what it's telling you. Hit next test when it's at the Neo flow sensor stuff. Okay, now it says calibration okay. So that part's done. Now you have to do the airtight check. The airtight check is like the leak test on the other ones. It's going to check the circuit and make sure there's no leaks in it anywhere. So, airtight check. This one is a little different because it doesn't really tell you anywhere up here that it's done and it's okay. It just finishes. So, what you're going to do for this one is, here's another word. It says check again, so we're going to hit that. And it's going to say seal Y piece, confirm with yes. So you want to block your hand over it. And what it's going to do is make sure that no air is leaking out of your circuit. You'll see this number up here if there's a problem. So I'm going to hit yes. And you'll hear air going through here. It says check is active, please wait. And then you want to see these numbers at around 0. If you're seeing in the thousands, it's not going to pass. So just watch up here. It will, once nothing is up there again, it's done. Keep Y piece open, confirm with yes. So now we're going to unblock it and hit yes. That number's staying at 0, which is what we want. And now there's nothing on the screen. The number says 0. It's done. Is anything that has the number less than 300, it will pass. And so it'll say nothing as long as the number is less than 300, it's passed. If it's over that, then it hasn't passed. That means there's a big leak somewhere. So that's all you have to do for the calibration on this one. It's not the end. Okay. So if we want to start, well, before we want to show you. So down here, underneath, there's a little flap down here that this door lifts open, and there's what's called a flow sensor in there. It's a external flow sensor, like the Galileo has an external flow sensor, but it's a different type of one. So this goes bad, and if it goes bad, your ventilator won't work. So if you're running the ventilator and it tells you you need to calibrate the flow sensor, and you calibrate the flow sensor and it won't pass, you need a new one. And that means you need to bring this to me and let me double check first, and then if I can go get one from Mr. Vosper. But clinically, these go bad too. So if it says to calibrate the flow sensor and you can't get it to calibrate and pass calibration, then you have to get a new one of these. It will not read any numbers without a correct flow sensor, because that's how it's measuring the flow and all the numbers that are going to the patient. So there's little pins in there, but it's going to end up going in this spot. You'll see a spot with little holes that the pins go in. There's words on here. It says spiral, log, and Draeger. Make sure that you can read them, and then you know it's not upside down. And you're just going to put those in right here. When you get your time on the ventilator, you'll see where this is. This actually slides into the exhalation valve, so when you push it in, you actually have to slide it over. It's not in proper place if you don't. But I'm going to show you the exhalation valve, so to that note, before you take the exhalation valve out, you have to slide the flow sensor out. Because if you don't, you take the exhalation valve out and the flow sensor flies across the room. It does, because I've done it before, because I forget. So there's a little blue tab in here that you have to push. And when you push that, then your exhalation valve will come out. And that's this piece right here. So this ventilator has an external exhalation valve. I'm going to tell you more about what they are next week, but to sum it up, the vent doesn't work if this doesn't work. An exhalation valve is a valve that opens and closes. It allows air to flow out or in. So when my ventilator is giving a breath to my patient, it closes so the breath doesn't go right back in the vent. So it closes off exhalation. When my patient is ready to exhale, it opens so the breath can be exhaled back in. So if this doesn't open and close right, your patient can't get a breath. So it's a critical piece to the ventilator. So this one is the external exhalation valve. Some of them are built inside, and I'm going to show you all of them next week and tell you more about it. But this has to be tight, and it's hard to unscrew. They all have little diaphragms with magnets on it. So when it's ready to close off, the magnet just lifts up, and when it's ready to open, it goes down. So things can get stuck inside of these, like mucomist, so that's why we put filters on the exhalation side, because we don't want water or anything in this, because if we do, it doesn't work. So this is where your flow sensor is actually sitting, this little spot right here. So I'm going to put it back in, and it just literally snaps back into place. That will slide in, and the door will close. This is things that are all going to be there, but it is troubleshooting that has to be done, especially in a hospital when these are being used all the time, so that's why you need to be aware of those. Flow sensors break, exhalation valves break, so that's where those are.
If the flow sensor isn't pushed into the exhalation port, will the flap close?
It will close and it will not work. So you have to make sure that it slides all the way over. Okay, so now if I'm ready, I can go ahead and start ventilation. I will tell you that you can go ahead and set some parameters now, like you can on some of the other ventilators. So you're back at your start standby tab, which is the very top one there. It says start/standby. And now I can start ventilation. I also have choices for adult, pediatric, and neo. Of course, we're only using adult here, but you could do pediatric or neo, so this ventilator, like the servo, can ventilate all patient sizes. Draeger makes its own baby Draeger as well, but you could use this one to ventilate a baby too. So we're going to go to adult. This one defaults to adult, so we don't have to change it like we changed the other ones. If I want to, I can set some settings right now. We could go to here, over here on the right-hand side. Top button is my alarm silence. Next one are my alarm limits. Ventilator settings, that's where I can actually set everything. Sensor parameters I'll get to, and system setup I'll get to. So if we're at vent settings, we can actually input everything, so we should be before we're putting it on a patient. So again, if you're getting a vent ready because you know you have somebody coming up, it wasn't a surprise, you're getting a vent in your ICU, and you know what settings are approximately patient's height and things like that, you could put approximate settings in. You could go ahead and have a lot of things ready before the patient gets there. In a perfect world, we like to have a heads up for all of our vet patients. but we all know it doesn't work that way. So let me tell you that the modes on this one are different. This is one of the ones where the names are weird, so we're going to go through them right now. Don't ask me why they named them the way they did. They just did. So I have to get over it. So if I want to be an ACVC, I need to go to CMV. C like Charlie, M like Mary, V like ventilation. That is the mode that means ACVC on this ventilator. If I want to go to SIMV-VC, I go to the tab that says just SIMV and nothing else. SIMV. If I want to be in ACPC, then I need to go to the mode that says PCV plus assist. I told you, not my fault, it's those damn Germans. And I'm German, that's why I can say it. Very German. This is a German-made vent.
Can you say that one again?
Yeah, I'm going to. Sorry, I just need a drink of water.
PCV plus assist.
You know what? ACPC. It says here PCV plus assist. PCV stands for pressure control ventilation. Assist is the assist control part of it. So if you think of what it means, it really does make sense. So PCV plus assist equals ACPC. PCV plus with nothing else is SIMV-PC. So PCV plus, nothing next to it is SIMV-PC. Yes. If you PCV plus, that's all it says on the tab, nothing else next to it is SIMV-PC. CPAP and pressure support, that's the weanings, just CPAP and pressure support, just as a FYI. That's what it's called. It's the one that's easy. There is a more tab, so if you're looking for one of them and you don't see it, sometimes they get stuck on the back part of it, so hit more and then you'll see. Now here's the here's the one. That's really
CPAP and pressure support, what is it?
for weaning. So what are the ones I haven't mentioned yet? And we need to know what they're called. PRVC. These are the ones. These are the two that everybody is always like, it gets confusing. Okay. So when you see the word auto flow on the Draeger, auto flow is synonymous with PRVC, and I'm going to tell you how to get it, but I'm just telling you the word auto flow, don't trip out about it. It's what it is PRVC. I don't know why they call it that, but they do. The word auto flow. PRVC. So if I want AC PRVC, I have to go to the CMV tab, and then you have to go to additional settings, and you'll see auto flow, and you have to make sure it's on. As long as auto flow is on, then you're in AC PRVC, and I'm going to show you how to tell up here too, because there's a way you can tell up here.
Can you give that example again?
One
Yes.
more time?
If you want to be in AC PRVC, you go to the CMV tab, and then you also turn auto flow on, and that turns it into AC PRVC. So CMV with no auto flow on is ACVC. That was the very first one I told you. The CMV with auto flow on. ACPRVC? CMV with auto flow on. It'll make more sense, you guys, when you actually get to spend time on the ventilator. Trust me. I just want you to know what everything is.
PCV plus assist with auto flow on is
No.
CMV plus autoflow is it what?
What?
PCV plus assist.
That's right.
Yes,
No, that's right.
PRVC.
No, I'm saying PCV plus. It's going to
And then SIMV with auto flow. The tab that says just SIMV, you turn auto flow on for that one, and you have SIMV PRVC. So that's our 6 different modes. So auto flow is the key to PRVC. Besides for that, there's settings that are appropriate for the mode that you're in once you're at the tab that you want. So if you're at CMV, there's a tidal volume, there's FiO2, TINSP inspiratory time, frequency peak. So that's all of our regular settings.
You said the last one was SIMV with autoflow.
SIMV PRVC.
How can we put apnea for CMV? CMV is totally supported by machine. How we put 20 seconds for apnea?
That's not apnea.
What is it?
It's something called slope that we haven't gone over yet. Okay, so for right now, let's turn it on so I can show you where things are, and then I'll show you too also. So, so if you want to actually start it, start standby right here. There's the little button over here on the bottom right-hand side. Then start. It's right next to the standby button. Start, confirm. Now I'm breathing. If your flow sensor was not working, you would get all dashes here, and it would say calibrate flow sensor up at the top. Yes?
So just to confirm, we select what mode we want to be in, then start confirm.
That's correct.
If you want to change the mode again, you have to go to standby.
No, you change it right here, ventilator settings.
Oh.
You could just go to ventilator settings, and those same things would come up. So once you're ventilating, anything you want to change, you just go over here. The tab will come up, you can change it. This ventilator has many different ways to get to the same place. So that's one way. It's also already down on the screen. So right now, this up at the top here, you guys, it says CMV and the word auto flow. So right now, I am in ACPRVC because I see the word auto flow up here. Okay? Now if I go to CMV and I go to my auto flow tab and I turn it off, and I confirm, the word auto flow goes away. Now I am in ACVC, excuse me. See, that's what you can see up here. So, and you'll see in the beginning, I'm going to tell you to be in ACVC, and you're going to forget about the auto flow, and I'm going to come over and tell you you're not in ACVC because the auto flow's on. As long as auto flow's on, you're in PRVC. Right here, this one. Hitting that additional settings is also where you can get to your trigger. Remember your sensitivity, patient or flow. So that's where those are. So here is my patient data. So I can do my patient parameters check on my vent screen, on my vent check. There's a little tab here that says 1, 2, 3 up here in the upper right hand corner. So if I hit that, it'll change the data to more different ones. So you get different numbers. So you just go through the tabs till you find what you're looking for. Main would just take me back to this screen if I wasn't on it already. We have data. The data screen, that's where my detailed patient information is. I like to just go here instead of tabbing over here when I'm doing a vent check. I got everything that I want right there then. Okay? So that gives you all of that. It also tells you what your settings are at the bottom, which is nice. It has everything all in one place. Special procedure. This is where we can do our inspiratory hold and our expiratory hold. So just like the other vents, all we have to do is push them and it will do the holds for you. So special procedure, inspiratory hold, and your expiratory hold. O2 suction is for suctioning. That's your 100% O2. Nebulizer, if you wanted to run the nebulizer through the vent, we don't do that, but they made ventilators so you could hook them in line through a ventilator. Their compressors that come on the vent suck, so we run them off the wall or whatever other way we're doing it. Values. That's another way to get to our patient data. Remember I told you many different ways, so I can hit data or values. Logbook, that would show us all the alarms that have ever gone off and anything you've ever done, so I'm not worried about that. Day, night, I can make it dark at night. And light in the day.
Good morning.
Who cares? Yeah, good morning. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you about this? One of the things, let's see if I'm in my ventilator settings and I don't know what something is. There's this little question mark. Hit the question mark, and then a little booklet would come up you could read. That's nice in the beginning. It helps you figure out what things are. So now we make it go away. Typically, most of the time, this is how we'll leave our screen. We'll have our 3 waveforms, our set settings, and our patient settings that we could look at to have all this information all the time. I want to see my peak pressures, my peak. I want to have all of that there. Let's see. So we know peak is our PIP. This has got VT and VTE. Remember, we want to use the VTE for our vent checks. F total would be frequency total. That's my patient's entire total respiratory rate. Machine breath and patient breaths together, just like the other ones. My plat, if I just get my plateau. Minute ventilation is MV on this one. And then resistance and compliance are R and C. They're just initials. As we get to work, we're going to be talking about those more in the coming weeks. This is going to tell you what kind of power source I'm running on down here at the bottom. There's a little plug to tell you it's running on electricity, external battery, or internal battery. We don't have external battery, so if I unplugged it, it would flip over to internal battery, which are really only put in ventilators long enough to be hooked up to a different power supply. We know we got to go into the red, so we'll be part of a generator. Internal batteries on these vents last like 20 minutes. They're not made to run them. They can't. There's too much work involved inside of the ventilator. So it's only there for emergency purposes. Alarm limits. So on this one, MV, I can set my high minute ventilation and my low minute ventilation. PAW is my high pressure limit. I can't set a low, it automatically defaults to 1, so you can't change it. Remember I told you you only set what you can set, and you'll learn where they need to be set. I'm just telling you what's here. VT is our tidal volume. FSPN, this is one that you're going to need to write down because this one always confuses people. FSPN is your spontaneous frequency. So that alarm is literally only for how many spontaneous breaths my patients take. If my set breath is 12, we generally don't want our patients taking more than 10 above whatever we have set. It means they're doing too much work. So if my rate is 12, and you set this at 22, which is 10 above where we would normally set it, that is telling the alarm to go off when the spontaneous rate gets to 22. So 22 plus 12, or 34. Did I do that math right at this time of the day? Yeah. So it's saying alarm when I get to 34. So what you want to do is set your spontaneous frequency on this ventilator. It's very simple, to 10. Now 10 above, which is what you're going to learn for all the other vents. Typically we want to set it 10 above. So if my rate is 12, I would set it for 22, which is 10 above. This ventilator counts only the spontaneous breaths. So you've set it for how many you don't want them to go above the set rate. So it's 10. So you don't add the two together, just make it 10, okay? And then apnea should be at 20 seconds. So if my patient is apneic for 20 seconds, the ventilator will kick in and give a breath.
For CMV?
No, apnea is for all of them, for everyone. You technically could put CMV of 4, and your patient could go apneic and not breathe. That's why it's there. Some of them have it, and some of them don't.
But machine total is one patient, how you cannot breathe.
But you can still set a too low of a rate, is what I'm saying. And if your patient's not breathing on his own,
So,
then it would kick in.
What is the minimum?
20 seconds. Yes. If you have an opportunity to set an apnea alarm, set it at 20 seconds. That's standard. The other thing, the alarms on this one, They sound different as well, just like the other ones. They also come up different up here. So if I have a low, let's say I disconnect. Red, high, sounds different. Once the ventilator has stopped alarming, it'll stay up there to show you what alarm went off, just like the other ones, and then you can hit reset, if you could. Now it's got a different one going off, so it's saying our minute ventilation is low. Shouldn't be saying that, but anyways. There's little, I can probably make something go off that's not as dramatic. Maybe. I know, but I was looking for the words to change, because usually they will. So tidal volume high, that's not as high priority as a disconnect is. So that one is yellow. And then it's like a different bluish color if it's a low priority alarm. So the colors change and the sounds change. Real high pitched is high priority, lower pitched is low. Red is high priority, light blue is not high priority. All right, questions? Okay, help me put this away and I'll write your homework on the board.